Hello everybody, konnichiwa, watashi wa James desu. Welcome to the channel. Otoka jineseo. In this video, we are going to be comparing two languages, Korean and Japanese. Many people presume that these languages are similar, and in many ways they are, but they're also very different. Now, before we start, I have two things to say. Firstly, if you like my content and you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. It tells YouTube that my content isn't boring you to death. Secondly, be sure to check out the awesome award-winning Japanese and Korean courses that I've put underneath this video. They're great for beginners and intermediate learners. I've teamed up with the course creators to get anybody viewing my video 7 days of free access, so be sure to check it out and tell me what you think. Now, if you've watched my videos before, you'll know that I like to start these videos off with a dialogue of both languages. So listen to these clips of Korean and Japanese.
제 이름은 이동윤이라고 합니다. 저는 현재 영국 보모스에서 유학 중이고, 영국 온 지는 벌써 6년째가 돼가고 있습니다. 제가 처음 영국 올 때 나이는 12살이고요. 초등학교 5학년 때 왔습니다.
こんにちは、藤森翔です。今、日本の、東京に住んでいる高校3年生です。父親が日本人で、母親が中国人なんですけれども、
The Japanese language is a complex and unique language with a fascinating linguistic history. It belongs to the Japonic language family, which includes several dialects and languages spoken on the Japanese archipelago. The two main branches are Japanese, that's the dominant language, and the Roikin language. These languages share a common ancestry and are not known to be directly related to any other language family. The earliest known influence on the Japanese language comes from Chinese, starting around the 5th century, when Chinese characters were introduced along with aspects of Chinese grammar and vocabulary. Now, these are still an integral part of the Japanese writing system, which we'll come on to shortly. Korean, on the other hand, is part of the Koreanic language family, which consists of two main branches, the Korean language itself and the Jeju language spoken on Jeju Island. This family is considered a language isolate, meaning it's not directly related to any other language. Korean was also influenced by Chinese in the past, and Chinese was used in Korean writing. As with Japanese, this had an impact on vocabulary and literary styles. However, the Korean writing system, known as Hangul, was created in the 15th century. It became the official writing system of Korea and played a crucial role not only in improving writing and general literacy, but also preserving the Korean language. Despite this, Hanja, that's Chinese characters, or Hanzu in Chinese, I feel like Kermit the Frog saying that as a non-Mandarin speaker, Hanzu, persisted as the main writing system of the elite class for more than 500 years after this. So where are Korean and Japanese spoken? Well, Korean and Japanese are used widely all over the world, but of course they're predominantly spoken in their respective countries, that's Korea and Japan. Japanese is spoken by 120 million people in Japan, whilst Korean is the official language of both North and South Korea, although there are marked differences between these two types of Korean. Unlike South Korea, North Korea adheres to the Pyongyang dialect, and if any foreign words are present at all, these tend to come from Russian. This is unlike South Korea, which does include plenty of English loanwords. This is me in the awesome capital city of South Korea, Seoul, earlier this year, where my guide taught me this directly. Just look at these loanwords. Camera, ice cream, kiss you. The Korean language is also officially acknowledged in the Yanbian prefecture in China, where both Mandarin Chinese and Korean are recognized as official languages, and in Changbai County, another autonomous community in China. As a minority language, Korean also has recognition in parts of Russia, although the Korean spoken in Russia now has many Russian and Turkic influences. So let's start with the characters and writing systems of both languages. The characters and scripts used in Japanese and Korean writing may look similar and indistinguishable to the untrained eye, or people who don't speak these languages like me and maybe you, but they are very different. Korean and Japanese have different writing systems entirely, and Japanese is not limited to one writing system or script, but Hangul is the one sole writing system in Korean. Get it? Seoul, like the capital Seoul, the Seoul writing system.
Oh, wow. I walked right into that. Oh, that's brilliant.
As I've said, the Korean writing system is the Hangul, also known as the Chosunggul in North Korea. Hangul consists of 24 letters, including 14 consonants and 10 vowels. The consonant characters are formed with curved or angled lines. When you're learning about the Korean writing system, you may also hear the word Hanja. Well, Hangul refers to the native alphabet, while Hanja are borrowed Chinese characters incorporated into the Korean language according to native pronunciation. The Japanese writing system, on the other hand, consists of 3 different scripts. These are Kanji, Katakana, and Hiragana. The Kanji system is made up mostly of adopted Chinese symbols. In modern Korean, on the other hand, Chinese characters are almost never used in writing, but you do hear words of Chinese origin used frequently in spoken Korean. Kanji and kana are the most widely used systems in Japan, and both are combined in script. This means you'll see both in the same sentences. The kanji is the name given to the adopted Chinese symbols. The kana is a combination of 2 different systems used together to represent the same sounds. They're composed primarily of symbols, and each is used for a different purpose. While hanja cannot be used to write Korean words, the Japanese equivalent, kanji, can be used to write both native Japanese words and Sino-Japanese words. But what about the spoken languages? Well, neither Japanese nor Korean are tonal languages, but in both languages, the use of pitch is really important and can change the meaning of your whole sentence immediately. For example, the Korean word nun can mean both snow and I. The only difference is the pronunciation, which has a longer vowel sound for snow. Just listen to this. Nun, nun. Do you hear the difference? Yeah, me neither. Then we have pitches. In both languages, the way the words are pronounced and the pitches used are important. As I said, Japanese is not a tonal language, but just like in Korean, many words look and sound the same, but have different meanings. Furthermore, there are more Korean sounds than there are Japanese sounds. The good news for any Japanese speakers that want to learn Korean is that the Korean language uses almost all of the same sounds as Japanese. So if you've learned these sounds already, learning Korean is going to be much easier for you than if you don't already speak or understand Japanese. The key features of pronunciation in both languages are as follows. In Korean, you'll see that many syllables end in consonants, but in Japanese, almost every syllable ends in a vowel. Japanese consonants are always pronounced in the same way, but this is not the case in Korean, and the pronunciation of that consonant in Korean can change depending on where in the word that consonant is placed. Korean also has more vowels and diphthongs than Japanese. Not that kind of thong. A diphthong is a sound formed by the combination of 2 vowels in a single syllable, in which the sound begins as one vowel and moves towards another. In English, some examples are words like coin, loud, and side. Due to the features of the pronunciation, Japanese is actually considered to be one of the easiest languages in Asia to learn for English speakers, and certainly easier to learn from scratch than Korean. And on the topic of which is easier to learn between Korean and Japanese, Nihongo, you can decide for yourself by checking out the Korean and Japanese language courses in the description below. These are award-winning courses and they're free to trial, so why would you not? Okay, what about grammar and syntax? Well, sentence structure in both languages is very similar. In fact, it's in this regard that these 2 languages are most similar. Both Korean and Japanese have a subject, object, verb order, which means the subject is typically followed by the object and then the verb in a sentence. As a result, Korean and Japanese are often translatable from one language to another word for word. Both languages use a system of particles to indicate grammatical relationships. In Korean, these include the subject marker, the object marker, the topic marker, the possessive marker, the location marker, the time marker, and the permanent marker. I'm just kidding. I just wanted to see if you were still with me. As I said, Japanese also uses an SOV, a subject, object, verb, word order. I'm going to Japan soon and I'm going to try and say that quickly after some sake. Subject, object, verb, word order. It relies heavily on particles for grammatical functions. Japanese grammatical structure can be complex though, with multiple levels of politeness and honorific language. This concept will be much more easy for you to understand if you've studied Latin languages and you you understand the formal and informal forms that you will have to learn in these languages. Here are some common particles and their functions in Japanese grammar. The topic marker, the subject marker, the direct object marker, the possessive marker, the location or means marker, the location or time marker, and the directional marker. You also have the particle for listing or making comparisons, for indicating the starting point or cause of an action, and for indicating the extent of an action or the point in time up to which something occurs. Paul over at the Linguafocus channel actually speaks Japanese, so check that out if you want a more in-depth explanation about how these markers are segmented and used in context. Alright, so what about Korean and Japanese vocabulary? While syntax is almost identical across both languages, vocabulary is generally very different. And even though many words are related, the pronunciation of these words is often so different that a speaker of Japanese would be unable to understand the same word said in Korean and vice versa. But as we've discussed, loan words from Chinese mean that crossover is almost always inevitable. In fact, today, 60% of vocabulary in both languages comes directly from Chinese. But these loan words entered both languages as characters at different times, and usage of these words has obviously evolved over time and adapted to each of the two respective languages. Some words have very similar pronunciation though, and while they're not mutually intelligible, you can definitely hear the similarities. For example, kirin, chirin, konchu, gongchung, ryori, jori. Okay, what about expressions and idioms used in Korean and Japanese? Expressions and idioms are an enriching aspect of any language, and both Japanese and Korean have a broad range of these that are used in everyday conversation. And when researching the topic, I actually found these to be quite poetic. Here are some that I liked. In Korean, this means glasses in my eyes, although the literal translation is a little bit confusing. This is the Korean version of the phrase, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Have you seen the beauty standards in South Korea? Wow, what an unbelievably attractive nation of people. It's like Uniqlo on steroids. Then there's this one, eyes are high. Not that kind of high. The meaning of this is the act of having standards or unrealistic expectations, especially when a person expects too much from a romantic partner or a suitor. These Japanese expressions and idioms also caught my eye when researching this topic. Kuchiga suberu, a slip of the mouth. The meaning of this is very similar to the English expression, the cat is out of the bag, meaning to let slip a secret or some gossip. Then there's this, one opportunity, one encounter. This is a similar expression to the saying, you reap what you sow. So what have we learned today? The Japanese and Korean languages are not mutually intelligible, but influence from Chinese means that up to 60% of words in both languages do have the same origin. Korean has one phonetic writing system which was introduced to improve literacy, whereas Japanese has 3 scripts. Japanese is generally easier to learn than Korean, as its pronunciation is far less complex. Korean has more diphthongs, and the pronunciation of a word will change depending on the placement of consonants within that word. Both languages have a subject, object, verb, sentence structure, meaning that translations between the two can generally be carried out word for word. I really hope you found this video interesting. Let me know what you think about these fascinating languages in the comments below. I would love to hear from you about the differences and similarities between these languages, especially if you speak one of these languages. I don't yet. I'm just here to share my research and my love of languages, so if you have something to add, please put it in the comments below. Don't forget to thumbs up this video if you found it useful, and please subscribe to the channel. 감사합니다. Arigato, sayonara.